1973. Her solo show Aviary features work created over the past 50 years and includes bas-relief, drawing, painting, collage, kinetic sculpture, and photo transfer, all united by wonder and reverence for winged creatures.
Really?
Mary Curtis, it's such an honor to introduce you. And before Mary Curtis will talk, I just want to say, I forgot that, the bathrooms are all the way in the back to the right, so just in case you need to go. We will take questions at the end of her talk.
Yeah.
And this will be recorded, so I would like to invite everybody to be very quiet because the space really amplifies all sounds.
Thank you, Monica.
Beyond thrilled to see everyone here. It's just really marvelous. Thank you so much all for coming. And I'm going to do something I don't usually do. Usually I go around and I talk about each piece. We can talk about individual pieces later, but first of all I'd like to talk about why this show actually interests me. One of the reasons why is because of the high ceiling here. I'm able to use not just a band of work around at 63 inches in the middle, but I'm able to go up high with these dream wings here. I'm able to go up high with feather hoops. This is a piece I did in 1974. This is the oldest piece. And also in the back, if you turn around and look, you'll see a piece called Pelican Landings. And those are pelicans, photographs of pelicans I took and then drew onto a vinyl substrate and then collaged them onto stainless steel frames. So there's a height, and then in the back, the murmuration, you'll see the birds go all the way down almost to the floor. So I'm able to use the whole height of the gallery. And another thing that interests me about this show is the use of color. Because if you turn around and look at Martha the Messenger here, you begin to see blue. And then blue tracks to the dream wings, and then it tracks up to the Pelican Landings, and then it tracks over to the murmuration, and then it tracks to this print, which is called Two Birds. There's some blue in that. And it actually goes all the way out to these other pieces here. And also, there's darker kind of blues and grays. They start here, and they go through these photographs here. There's grays, and this turns into silver here. And in the dream wings here, there's grays and coppers. And also that it tracks over to Two Birds. And then if you jump over behind Sarah, there's this piece is called Daven. That was also done from photographs and paint and drawing. And then you can wrap the gray into Martha the Messenger. This happens to be an homage to Martha, who was the last carrier pigeon in this country, who died in 1927 in the Chicago Zoo. Who knew? Anyway, here she is, and I decided to make her the messenger, and then using airplanes all over the place, and then stamps, because they convey messages all over the world. So that was the reason for that. And then another thing that I'm interested in is the use of materials, because I have painting and drawing. There's a lot of drawing. And bas-relief, which is the dream wings here, where
It comes off the wall physically. And collage. This piece is called parakeets, and I did that from, you know, remember in the 50s and the 60s there were these big books of samples of paper, wallpaper samples. And the thing that I found really interesting about it is that they came, they came in the exact same pattern, but they were in a different color combination. So that's what I did with I have a series of these cake pieces, and that's what that is from. So there's that. And then feathers. These feathers I found on Baker Beach in San Francisco in 1973. And I didn't know what to do with them, but I just grabbed them. You know, it's like you just know that someday you'll do something. And so I put these together, and for a show that I had in 1974, and they're pelican feathers. So they're kind of old and they're getting a little ratty, but don't look too closely. And then another feather piece is behind Peter. It's called Cockatoo. And that was because we had a friend at that time in the 80s that had a cockatoo, and he was just throwing the feathers away. And I said, no, don't throw the feathers away, give them to me. And so after a while, I got enough feathers. The thing is, it's important for me in this case to do a gradation. You have to go from small to a little bigger, 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 and then back up into very small. However, the contradiction is, of course, this one, which are duck feathers. I did this in 2024. They're almost all the same size, so I just contradicted myself. Who cares? Now, hi. Hi. So that's what interests me, the idea of not pushing the same button all the time. That I'm interested in something, and I have these ideas that just float through my head, and I think, okay, how could I make that? Is it a painting? Is it a drawing? Is it a sculpture? Is it bas-relief? Is it a collage? What is it? And then I start designing around that idea and come up with all sorts of things that you might think these were done by different artists. You might. But they're not. So that's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to open the floor to questions now. So, yes, Dan.
Can you say more about that one?
This one. This is a photograph I took of an egret in, I think it was Lamontor Beach. There's a little wooden walkway over a creek going just after the parking lot. You walk over a creek, and this egret was down there, and so I took a photograph of it, and then I had it printed in what's called grayscale. In other words, you take all the color out, and it's just blacks and whites and grays. And then I added colored pencil. All this is colored pencil. And so that's how that one's made. Anyone else? Yes, Jason.
I'm hearing some sound.
Oh yes, we are hearing some sound thanks to Jason Grenier, earprint. And these are sounds of ambient sounds of birds, and if we're lucky, we'll hear a little whooshing sound that will represent the murmuration back there.
Might be hard to hear.
Yes.
Do you have a theory why birds are as beautiful as they are? Have you ever seen a
What a great question.
That's a really great question. Well, when I was young, I always wondered who designed these things, you know, because they're all different and they're all very beautiful. And I came from a family of in the Midwest, in Michigan. My grandfather, father, and uncle were hunters. Zoe's father, Gil Carter, were all hunters, and they used to go out and duck blinds and go on, out and get pheasants and geese, Canada geese and mallards and things. And so my brother and I, our job was to pluck them. So my mother would make these fabulous game dinners, but Carter and I had to pluck them. And I started looking at these feathers when I was really young and seeing them. And I just think they're just fabulous. They're just an incredible design, and I really don't know who did them.
The artist was.
Lost to history.
But the thing is, being an artist, you always wonder if it's worth it on one level, because it's already so beautiful already, So there's this humility that I hopefully bring to my work to see if I can make something half as nice. Yes, Rand.
Yeah, you said this piece, your
Yeah.
piece is ratty.
Well, it's a little tattered.
Leads me to ask how many rats have fallen off your cliff before you were done with all of your art.
Well, just about as many as the birds have fallen off the wall. I keep sticking them back on. Thank you. Yes, Kim.
Yeah, I wanted to point out the shadow and the light and the movement that happens up here with these pieces, because that's what I remember from, I think it was your last show.
Yeah.
Shadows everywhere.
Right.
And so it's very moving to see them moving in light.
Thank you.
And shadow.
Yeah, yeah.
There was a question.
Yes.
I wondered
Karen.
if you have anything you'd like to say about Raven. It's so powerful to me.
Oh, Raven.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Raven.
Why don't you walk down there,
I will. Excuse me.
if there's a way?
Yes, there is.
Tell us about the birds.
Yeah, well, I'll do that after this. Yes. For many years, about 20 years, I was making two-dimensional work. I did three-dimensional work. I trained in art school as a sculptor, and I did about 25 years of sculpture. And then for about 16, 17, 18 years, I did two-dimensional work. And and all these are on wooden panels. So what I did was take photographs. This is a composite of 2 different photographs. Sometimes they're up to 5 different photographs in one thing. This background here was a photograph I took in, I can't remember, Wyoming at a park. There was an old sign. It was about that big, and it was metal, and there was no paper. It was one of those directional kind of signs, but all you saw was the result of everything going away except for the metal. And the sun, I kind of wait for the sun, and wait for it to hit so I can get a contrast in the photograph. And so I waited, and it hit there and here, and so I took that as a background photograph. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I knew I was going to do something, or I wouldn't have been attracted to it. So needless to say, I've got about 22,000 photographs. Oh, well, I don't know if I'll live that long, but this raven, excuse me, is a photograph I took in the Napa Valley. It was sitting in this tree in the winter time, so there were no leaves. So I decided to before I superimposed it on top, I painted the background. I threw paint at it. I did all sorts of swishes. I did all sorts of stuff, I just made it up as I went along. And then obviously I must have taken this piece of paper and held it upside down. And that's how I got the drip marks. It's a good trick. And so then I superimposed this image on top through image transfer. and that's another technique I'll tell you if you want to know. And then after that, I painted this whole thing in. And then I outlined the whole thing in black to make it, you know, give it a contrast. Yes, Zoe.
So it just feels like something out of a fairy tale to me. And I'm just wondering, like, was there a story you were telling yourself as you were creating it, or did you ever at any point look at it and think there's a story that could be told, or is it just purely you're not kind of working in that?
No, I'm just working on a visual language. Yeah. But the thing about something like this is you can make up your own story.
Yeah, I am.
Good. We like it. Yes, Aria.
A little bit what I was going to ask. It wasn't a story, but it was poems. Like, you know, this to me, like the ode to the bird, or ode to flight, or ode to the winged one. And you know, one thing I know you talked about that story about plucking the dead
Game birds, yeah.
winged ones. But what is there some sense that you could articulate other than the visual articulation of your relationship to the subject?
To birds in general?
Yeah.
They were always in my life. My grandfather in Michigan had little bird feeders for hummingbirds. You know, those little low things that have little, you put sugar water in them. And he would go around and he'd fill them, and the birds would be humming around him. And I just loved that. You know, they weren't afraid of him at all. And then he had a bird feeder. And so I watched, as a child, I sat in a rocking chair by the big picture window and I watched the birds come and go. And we had a bird feeder at no, we didn't, actually we didn't. My father had a big cage about this big of finches. He got into this thing about finches for some reason. And Danny Boy was the first finch, and he outlasted all the other ones. And they were up to, up to 11 finches in that. So I watched them, you know, go back and forth in this big flight cage.
And Sweet, you've also talked about dreams of flying.
Oh, I have dreams of flying. Yeah, yeah. I have dreams of flying. I still do have dreams of flying. But the thing that I found that where I could fly the best was downhill skiing. So I did that. So anyway, I'm afraid the time is.
What about this piece?
Yes, let me talk about this piece before. Okay. Now, I don't know if you all agree, but I'm really fascinated with murmurations. Of starlings, and they just do this whole dance in the sky, and they swish and they run around, and so I just got a still from a video I found, and I started thinking, okay, I can't put 600 laser cut birds on the wall at once. So I started by doing where they mass together, and so that's actually on paper. That's a secret. Don't tell anybody, but it's on blue paper. And then after that, I put another 300. It took a few minutes.
How long did it take?
Oh, I don't know. Well, they still keep jumping off the wall, so I'm still. They're not going to ever. It will never be finished. And that's me up there, looking. Do I want to join or not?
Bird's eye view.
Bird's eye view, right? Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
What's your name for it?
Raven.
That's a beautiful beautiful piece.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Haitia's mother.
Oh, wonderful.
Here she is.
Yeah. Hello. Hi.
I'm Aisha.
Aisha, right.
Nice to meet you.
All right, nice to meet you.
My mom is a very dear